A deadly silence. The grand function hall was plunged into darkness. Gasps and whispers filled the air, followed by a chilling scream. Then, gunshots. The sound echoed through the massive ballroom, sending waves of panic among the elite guests. Women shrieked, men shouted, and in the chaos, Isabella felt a strong hand grab her wrist. "Isabella, come with me!" a voice whispered urgently. Her heart pounded as she tried to make sense of what was happening. The voice, it was Alexander. He pulled her through the panicked crowd, weaving through people who were rushing toward the exits. The emergency lights flickered on, casting eerie shadows on the marble floor. Daniel lay unconscious, a bullet grazing his arm. People surrounded him, calling for help. But Isabella had no time to react. Who fired the gun? Who was the real target? Alexander didn't stop. He pushed open a side door and led her into a dimly lit corridor. "Alexander, what is happening?" she asked breathlessly, her pulse racing. "You're in danger," he said sharply. "Someone doesn't want the truth about you to come out." Her mind spun. The truth? That she was William Knight's only daughter. That she was never the poor woman Daniel thought she was. But who? Before she could finish, a shadow moved at the end of the hallway. A man in black stepped forward, a gun in his gloved hand. Alexander immediately stepped in front of Isabella. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his voice ice cold. The masked man raised his weapon. A desperate escape. Before the attacker could pull the trigger, Alexander lunged, knocking Isabella to the side just as a bullet whizzed past them, embedding itself into the wooden wall. Without thinking, Alexander grabbed Isabella's hand and ran down the corridor, through another set of doors. They burst out into a darkened garden behind the venue. The cool night air hit Isabella's face as she struggled to keep up with Alexander's long strides. "Get in," he ordered, opening the door of a sleek black car. Still trembling, Isabella slid inside. Alexander jumped into the driver's seat, and the car sped away just as another gunshot rang out behind them. "Who are they?" she whispered, gripping the seat. "I have a few guesses," Alexander muttered, his jaw clenched. "But one thing is clear, someone doesn't want you to know your own identity." Secrets unveiled. They drove in silence for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Alexander pulled up outside a luxurious penthouse. "We'll be safe here," he said, leading her inside. The apartment was massive, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. But Isabella barely noticed. Her mind was reeling. "But one thing is clear," she demanded. "Why are they after me?" Alexander exhaled. "Because you're more powerful than you realize, Isabella." She frowned. "I don't understand." He leaned forward, his gaze intense. "Your father isn't just the world's richest man. He has enemies. People who don't want his empire to fall into the hands of his rightful heir. You." Her breath caught. "But I never wanted his empire. I never even knew. But one thing is clear. Someone doesn't want you to know your own." Interrupted. "And Daniel, he was part of the plan." Her stomach twisted. "Daniel?" Alexander's expression darkened. "He never loved you, Isabella. He was manipulated. Someone made sure he saw you as poor, as unworthy, so he'd throw you away before the truth surfaced." Her chest tightened. The humiliation, the heartbreak, it had all been orchestrated. "Who is behind this?" she whispered. Alexander hesitated, then spoke one name. "Ethan Blackwood." A shiver ran down Isabella's spine. She had heard that name before. A ruthless businessman, a rival of her father's empire. And now, he wanted her gone. Before Isabella could say another word, the penthouse lights flickered. Then, a red laser dot appeared on the window. Alexander's expression turned cold. "They've found us." To be continued in Part 3.